For the world to be a better place, we have to talk about stuff. If we don't talk about difficult issues, they don't go away, they get worse. We are radically transparent with each other when we even disagree, not just about narrative, but about fact. I'm Palestinian. I've lived in Palestine. Most of my family lives there in horrific conditions.
I declare myself a Zionist. I believe in the dream of Israel and the importance and the necessity for a Jewish state. I don't think it's perfect. I think it's very problematic, but I would not abandon the idea of having a Jewish state. That's really central to who I am.
I actually don't feel the same way. I don't think there's a good future for any Israeli or Palestinian without a good reality for every Palestinian and Israeli, and that means safety, dignity, equality, justice, freedom for everyone there. And Zionism has come to mean more than just Jewish liberation or Jewish self-determination, in my view, things that I totally support. But it means now indefinite Jewish control over millions of Palestinian lives. And I believe that's wrong. There's a real justice issue, and we have to address that.
But wait, that is not what Zionism means. Zionism does not mean the continued domination of one people over another. I mean, that's not my Zionism. I believe in equality. I believe everyone should have the right to self-determination. I believe there should be a Palestinian state. So my Zionism doesn't preclude someone else's liberation. You define Zionism as something oppressive. I define Zionism as an aspiration for a Jewish homeland when there is no other place for Jews to go in the world.
Theoretically, philosophically, obviously this is something I support. Jewish liberation and Palestinian liberation, I believe, are intertwined. But what it has meant in practice is that 3/4 of Palestinians were kicked off of their land and never allowed to come back to what became a Jewish state. I can't support that. I can't say that was right. For me, that was wrong. Just as the situation today in which I can empathize with the Jewish dream and desire to return to Israel, given the historic Jewish connection there, I can't look at a reality in which his cousins live with freedom and security, and my family, where I've lived, don't even get running water many days a week, and live in a pretty much a literal cage.
Zionism has been taken over by some extremists within Israel who have shaped it and redefined it. It's not the Zionism of my prayer book. That Zionism never included oppressing other people, and if that is the result of this political Zionism that has come about, then that's a mistake. But I wouldn't abandon the term Zionism.
We have this commitment that my story is not the only story. My political attachments, as deeply committed to them as I am, are not the only part of the conversation.
We have learned to understand each other's perspective and to teach that as a pedagogical tool with our students so that they can write about the other and they can cover things that they do not believe in, but they could see as an insider. How do I understand someone who has a belief and a truth other than my truth?
Multiple deep truths may be valid at the same time. And we need to be able to internalize that into our culture, into our institutions, and not see this as weakness, but the opposite, actual strength, true resilience. But that doesn't make everything all equal. It doesn't mean one injustice cancels out another injustice. So when we take the students to Israel-Palestine, it's not just this theoretical thing about your narrative and my narrative, which is important. Our truth is our lived reality, but it's rooted in a shared set of facts. So getting people into spaces of discomfort, of conflict, so they have to wrestle with an experience from different vantage points, really allows for students from very diverse backgrounds, even opposed backgrounds, to have the kinds of tough conversations they need to have.
We were in the holy city of Bethlehem, and Greg was telling the group that he has 100 cousins in the suburbs of Bethlehem. And for the first time it struck me, and I've been working with him for years, and I said, wow, I have 100 cousins over there on the other side of this valley. I have 100 cousins in the settlements. And I care about my cousins, and I want them to be safe, and I worry about them. But when I heard he has 100 cousins, I thought, wow, he must feel the same way about them as I feel about mine. So I think I have a truth, but he has a truth. And when I begin to examine the conditions of his cousins and my cousins, the rights they have, the claims they have, Some questions come up in my mind. I'm not saying they're all equal. When I start to see the other and what they face and their lives, it sort of rounds me out and rounds out the story for me. People have strong opinions, but there's also a lot of complexity in the world. And if you look at it from another perspective, you're going to see something that will enrich you and enrich your worldview.
So often we need to be heard. It's not about agreement. And so much of the friction in our society comes from this inability to actually deeply hear another person's story and see their reality.
And I think that's what we model for our students, that they know we disagree, but that we are friends, that we feel each other's pain.
What I come to when I talk about empathy is not, oh, let's just sing Kumbaya and sit here together. It's exactly the opposite. It's like, there's a complex situation. His cousins do not have long-term security and freedom, even if they have a position of power right now. And my cousins are suffering an unacceptable horror. We need to work towards a reality in which all of them ultimately know safety, dignity, freedom, whatever one state, two state. And we cannot get there if we just stay siloed and we don't try to understand the broader dynamic, the broader narratives, alongside the actual facts on the ground.